Welcome to our Homestead friends. Today we're going to show you how to properly install this single hung flanged window in a wood framed home. Come along with us. So as you can see, we already have one installed, but it wasn't installed correctly. So what we're going to do is take it off and show you how to do it the right way. So when setting your window, you want to make sure that it is plumb, level, and square so that it doesn't impede the operation of the window at all over time. Now, your framing can be a little bit crooked sometimes, and I'm not sure if this one is, but you can see the way the window is set in here. So as you can see, there's a much larger gap between the sill and the window on this side than there is on this side. There's almost no gap here. And up at the top, same deal. There is a much larger gap there against the header than there is there. Super, super important. Make sure that your window is plumb, level, and square for proper operation. First things first, let's pry the nails out of this thing and pull the unit down. We're going to use a little cat's paw here, get under these nails, and hopefully get them out easily without harming the flange on the window. So let's show you how the window was done before. We have a sill here that doesn't have any sill pan created with any type of peel and stick flashing. We need to do that because this is a big area for water entrance into a house if it gets past the house wrap and if it gets past the window flange itself, which is very, very common. When you've got a hole in your house, you need to make sure that the water absolutely does not come in at all. So we want to make an airtight house also, and a big place for air to get into is behind the house wrap from the bottom and around and through the windows on this side here. So this also needs to be sealed on the Jamb side, and we'll show you exactly how to do that. And a big no-no up here at the header is to actually wrap this house wrap inside of the window. What you want to do, and we'll show you how to do it, is cut this back and have a shingling effect, because if there's any water at all that gets through above your window in any way, it will come down and bypass all of your peel and stick flashing, all of your window flange, all the stuff that you've done. It'll just come right down behind it like this and into your house, start rotting out your header. That is something we don't want at all. So let's get this done the correct way. I see a lot of production builders that do it this way, and that will also void most warranties on decent windows. So don't do it like this. So what we are going to do is cut this straight across at the header line right here. And then we're going to make an angle cut 45 degrees back about 6 inches from the corner of the window. And then we're going to fold this flap up and staple it. All right, back on a 45 from the corner. Now we're just going to staple it up here to hold it in place while we take care of everything else, like the drip cap and the flashing tape on the top of the header right here. Now on our jambs, we're going to cut it back about 2 inches. We're going to use the flashing tape to do what's called an integrated system, where we're coming in contact with the house wrap, with the sheathing underneath or substrate, and the flange on the window itself. Now you can also leave it wrapped around the corner, but cut it halfway back on the jamb. And then use house wrap tape to actually adhere it to the jamb itself so that air doesn't come around in the side. But we prefer this integrated system where it's sticking to that house wrap, the OSB sheathing, and the flange of the window itself. So now it's time to make our sill pan with our adhesive flashing. And we are going to extend that flashing when making that sill pan 6 to 8 inches up the jambs on either side of the window. So this is a 2-foot window, so we're going to have at least 3 foot to 3'4" of our flashing tape. Now this stuff is super sticky, so you're going to have to do this in one shot, and think about how you're doing it. We're going to take off the backing to this. Careful it doesn't stick to itself, which it will very easily. we're going to fold it in half like this and drop it in the center of the window. Now you want about 2 inches overlap to the outside. So this is a 6-inch piece of flashing. You're going to get 4 inches back onto the inside, covering all of your structure. Push it into those corners tight because you don't want a radius there. So if your window, a flange, catches on it, it'll rip it, create a hole, some place for water to get into. You're going to push it down in that corner as best as you can. Wrap it up the side. So some of these flashing tapes are made to be very flexible. This one is not. If you have a flexible one, you can push it and wrap it around the corner here and actually not have to cut that corner. But for us, we're going to have to cut this and then put a little piece of additional tape on that cut so it's completely sealed up. So this flashing tape is pressure sensitive. You're going to need a J-roller to be able to roll this out to get it completely adhered to whatever it's sticking to. We don't have a J-roller, so we're going to use just a small wheel to actually roll it on there. Anything will work as long as you get some pressure on it and it's stuck to what it's supposed to be stuck to. Now that we have our sill pan created and everything down here is watertight, we can put our window on. Now that we're ready to put our window back in, we are going to use some sealant on the back side of the flange here. And that is to add an extra barrier of defense against water getting in around this window. Now some might say that's overkill. Some manufacturers require it. Use your best judgment. Any layers, any extra layer you have to prevent water from getting in your house is the best. So I recommend doing it. Now remember, on the bottom of anything, make sure you do not put a solid bead across the bottom because any water that gets in behind it will sit and it won't drain out. So you can spot dab it here if you like, just to give it a little bit, but definitely a solid bead all the way up the sides and the top. So I've just tacked the window in place. Usually you have 2 people doing this, one on the inside and one on the outside. The inside person is shimming and looking at the gaps around the window. I can't do that right now, so I'm going to go outside with some levels and make sure everything is perfectly square, level, and plumb. It looks like from me just tacking it up on the outside that I've got a decent gap around this, pretty even. We're going to go outside and make sure that window is perfect. So it looks like we're good to go. Get your longest level possible. It's going to give you the most accurate reading, especially if you have a pretty big window. Now that we have our window in, it's plumb and level. We're going to use our flashing tape. We're going to cut a piece that's approximately 6 inches above the top of the window, run it all the way down to 3-4 inches below the window, and it's going to adhere then to our house wrap, our substrate, whatever that is, in our case OSB, and the flange of the window. So make sure you start right up here where you've made that cut in your house wrap, all the way up and tuck it underneath there like that. So we're getting finally to the top of the window. We need another piece of our adhesive flashing, and it's going to stick right here underneath the flap of the house wrap. It's going to overlap about 3 or 4 inches and just come over the top of the flange of the window and onto the top of the header of the window. Now the next step a lot of people say is overkill, and that is putting a drip cap above your window or door. In my opinion, it's essential to keep water out, and a drip cap is one of those steps that really needs to be done because water entrance above a window or door is very, very common. And all of the builders that I work with, whether it be from $1 million to a $3 million house, every single one of them puts drip caps above every single opening in the homes that they construct. Okay, first things first, we're going to run a bead of sealant across the top of the window. Now, why are we going to do that? Well, that's going to adhere to the bottom of the drip cap, and It's going to prevent any wind-driven rain getting in underneath that drip cap. So I'm going to put that drip cap on and press it down. And we get a lot of wind-driven rain from the west side of our house, so this is really important to do. Next thing I'm going to do is just tack it down with a couple of roofing nails. No need to go overboard with the nails because we are going to use another piece of flashing to seal up that top side of that drip cap. Now what I've done is I've cut some of that flashing in half, and I'm going to use the other half to seal up the corners of this when I'm done putting this on. And the last step is to pull our flap down over the top of that. We're going to seal the corners, and then we are just going to spot seal the bottom of this flap right here. Why do we do that? So if any water does get in behind, it has a way to get out and drain, just like the bottom of the window. We didn't seal that up. You never seal the bottom of anything, just like on the roof. Take our halved tape and we're going to come over here on the corners, seal that down. Well, there you go. That is how you properly flash and install a window on a wood frame home. Remember to keep everything shingled like on a roof, and that shingling effect will direct out any water if it ever gets behind your house wrap. So we're going to take a little break and then move on to our door so we can get our new addition here completely sealed up so that I can start the interior work. But if you have any questions on the window itself and the window installation, leave them in the comment section below. Now go check out this video right here, which shows you how we replaced our septic lines by ourselves for just a few $1,000s. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye.